अस्सलाम एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज हम एक ऐसी रिसोर्स के बारे में बात करने जा रहे हैं जिसने इंसानी तरीके को शेप दिया है। वो लकड़ी सिर्फ एक नेचुरल मटेरियल नहीं बल्कि घरों, टूल, शिप और पूरी सिविलाइजेशन की बुनियाद रही है। आज के ए सेशन में हम सेसमी माइल्स के साथ जानेंगे कि वुड को अर्ली सिविलाइजेशन के बैकबोन क्यों कहा जाता है। लेट्स बिगिन। Hey Miles,
Hey, how goes it?
welcome back to another AI session. Today we are discussing a word that has become one of the most recognizable experience in modern communication. Whatever.
I'm listening. Sounds like we're diving into something big. What's on the mind today?
Today's word topic is whatever.
Whatever. That's a bold choice. It's basically the Swiss Army knife of dismissals. You want to go the route of how it's used to shut people down, or maybe how it's just a way to avoid a whole conversation?
Let's explore how one word can carry so much meaning.
It's wild how whatever is basically the ultimate conversational exit ramp. Depending on the tone, it can be anything from I'm too tired to argue to I don't even care enough to disagree. Which version do you think people use the most?
What does whatever mean?
Literally, it's just a way of saying it doesn't matter what or anything that happens. But in the real world, it's rarely that simple. It's usually a shield. People use it to end a discussion they're over or to hide that they actually care way more than they're letting on.
So the meaning depends heavily on context.
Exactly. It's all in the delivery. A flat whatever is a dead end, but a side whatever is practically a scream for help. It makes you wonder if people use it because they're actually indifferent or if it's just easier than explaining why they're annoyed.
Okay.
You've probably seen this in action a lot, right? Like in those moments where someone's clearly annoyed but just doesn't want to deal with the effort of a full argument.
Where did the word originated?
Let me check. It goes back to Middle English before 1375. It started as a compound of what and ever, mostly meaning no matter what. The funny part is that it took hundreds of years to turn into the dismissive eye roll of a word we know today. That slang version didn't really hit its stride until the 80s and 90s with teenagers. Pretty wild that it took that long to find its true calling as a way to shut down a conversation.
Okay. So it start as a natural word. Explain me long.
It really did. For a long time, it was just a functional piece of language, like a tool you'd use to build a sentence, not a weapon to end one. Back in the day, if you said whatever happens, you weren't being rude. You were just acknowledging that the future is unpredictable. It was about openness almost. Then you fast forward to the 80s and 90s, and the word gets a complete makeover. It shifts from describing a situation to describing an attitude. It becomes this perfect little package of indifference. Instead of saying, I disagree with you, but I don't think this conversation is going to get anywhere, people just say whatever. It's efficient, but it's lethal because it denies the other person any room to respond. It's like the word evolved from being a bridge to being a wall. Do you think that's why it feels so much more aggressive now than it did originally?
How did it become associated with difference?
I think you might have meant it's efficient with its indifference, right? That's exactly it. It's the ultimate shortcut.
Yes.
Why spend 10 minutes explaining your frustration when one word can basically tell the other person, you're not worth the effort of an argument? It's a high level move in the art of avoiding things.
Okay. That is quite a transformation.
It's a complete 180. It went from a neutral description of fate to this strategic tool for ending a conversation. It's kind of funny how we take these helpful words and turn them into ways to keep people at a distance. You think we've just become lazier with how we express our feelings?
Yeah. Did
It's
movies
definitely a
and
trend.
yes, you were saying something.
That I was just saying that we've traded depth for speed. It's like we're all just skimming the surface of our emotions because it's faster. Like, but you mentioned movies. You think they help push this kind of talking into the mainstream?
Yes.
Totally. I can see it. The disaffected teen trope in movies is basically the blueprint for the modern whatever. Those movies spent years romanticizing that kind of coldness as being cool or edgy, and people just started mimicking it. It's like cinema gave us a vocabulary for being indifferent. I wonder if there are any specific movies or characters that you think really nailed that vibe.
Okay. Did movies and television help popularize this usage?
Oh, for sure. They basically turned it into a lifestyle. Think about all those 90s teen dramas where the main character just shrugs and says it to their parents to end a whole fight. It made that kind of distance feel like a power move. I bet it actually gave people a way to express a specific kind of angst without having to actually be vulnerable.
Okay. Many people still associated it with that era.
Wait, an ear off? I'm not sure I follow. Are you talking about
ERA.
a specific gesture? Oh, the era. That makes way more sense. Saying it's still tied to that specific time and vibe, like a nostalgic relic of that angst ridden period. It's kind of wild that a word can stay anchored to a certain decade like that.
Exactly.
It's like a linguistic time capsule. Even now, when someone says it with that specific tone, you can almost see the flannel shirts and the grunge music in the background. Do you think it's still a cool way to be indifferent, or does it just feel dated now?
Yeah.
I
Confidence.
feel like it's.
Yes, yes, you were saying something.
I was just thinking that maybe it's not about being cool anymore, but more about that confidence you mentioned. It's less of a teen rebellion thing and more of a way for people to just set a boundary without having to explain themselves. It's like a shortcut to saying, I'm done with this and just owning it. Does that feel more like how it's used today?
Yes.
It's evolved into a tool for efficiency. Instead of the angst, it's now more about protecting your peace by just cutting the noise out. It makes it a pretty powerful word if you use it right. Do you think it
Con.
can actually be a healthy way?
Yes,
Oh, you were saying,
confidence. Yeah, or you saying something?
I think it can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, using it to set a boundary is definitely a confidence move. It's like saying, I'm not letting this drama get to me. But on the other hand, if you use it to avoid every hard conversation, you're just building a wall. It's efficient, but it can be a lonely way to communicate. Do you think there's a point where it stops being confident and just starts being cold?
Yeah. Yes. Confidence versus indifference. Can you whatever sometime be positive?
That's a fascinating angle in politics. Whatever is a practically a strategic weapon. It's the ultimate way for a politician to dodge a tough question without actually saying no comment. By acting indifferent, they can make the other person look over eager or desperate while they keep all their cards close to their chest. It's a way of dismissing an entire argument as irrelevant without having to prove it is. Do you think that kind of strategic indifference actually works on people, or does it just make them more suspicious?
I think it works sometime.
It probably does, especially if they have a lot of charisma. If they can pull it off, it looks like they're above the fray, and people tend to follow the person who seems the least bothered by everything. Um, it's a bit like a psychological game of chicken, really. Whoever cares less holds the power. I wonder if you've seen any specific moments in the news or with public figures where that kind of vibe actually paid off.
Yeah, so it is not always negative.
Not at all. It's all about the intent. If you're using it to stay calm in a chaotic situation, it's actually a survival skill. It's like a mental filter. You just decide what's worth your energy, what's just noise. I guess the real question is whether it's a form of strength or just a very polished way of checking out.
Yeah. When it sounds rude, why do some people find it disrespectful?
Because it's a total denial of the other person's point. When you say whatever, you're not just disagreeing. You're basically saying that what the other person is saying isn't even worth the the effort of a response. Still like conversational equivalent of slamming a door in someone's face while they're still talking. You think that's why it hits so hard for some people?
Yeah. The same word can comfort or offend.
Exactly. It's, it's wild how one word can be a warm blanket or a cold shoulder depending on how it's dropped. It really shows that communication isn't just about the dictionary definition, but the energy you bring to it. I wonder if you think most people are even aware of the power they're wielding when they use it, or if they're just on autopilot.
Philosophy behind the word. Why do people use whatever when they are upset?
It's a defense mechanism. When you're upset, the actual emotions are usually way too messy to put into words right away. Saying whatever is like putting up a temporary wall. It protects you from having to be vulnerable or admit you're actually hurt, and it gives you a second to breathe without giving the other person more ammunition. Do you think people do it more to protect themselves or to punish the other person by shutting them out?
I think in some cases they protect and in some they punish.
That's the most honest way to look at it. It's a versatile tool. Sometimes it's a shield to keep from breaking down, and other times it's a sword used to make the other person feel small. It's all about whether you're trying to survive the moment or win the argument,
Interesting.
right? It's a weirdly complex bit of psychology for such a short word. I'm curious, in your experience, do you find it easier to deal with someone who says whatever than someone who just goes completely silent?
Yeah. The digital era, how has social media affected the world?
It's basically turned the word into a shorthand for an entire mood. On social media, you don't have tone or body language, so whatever becomes this static signal. It's often used as a caption to show you're unbothered, even if you're actually spiraling. It's like a curated version of indifference. Do you think it's easier to be dismissive when you're hiding behind a screen?
I think,
Take your time. I'm just thinking about how a screen makes it so easy to just drop a word and vanish without having to see the look on the other person's face.
yeah, it feels different if behind screen and in front of.
It's a totally different game. In person, you've got the energy, the eye contact, the whole vibe. You can't just say whatever and disappear.
Yeah,
But online, it's just text on a screen, which makes it so much easier to be cold without feeling the weight of it. Do you think that makes people more honest about their indifference or just more reckless with how they treat others?
yeah, it make different because in behind the screen, there is no tone in social media. But in one to one person, there is tone, how you say whatever in angry mood, in soft mood.
Exactly. That's the core of the problem online. You're losing the most important part of the message. In person, the soft, whatever, can be an invitation to keep talking, while a sharp one is a total shutdown. But on a screen, the other person just has to guess which one you're using, and they usually guess the worst version.
Yeah,
Do you
different.
think that's why so many arguments?
Yeah, you were saying.
Right. It's a total. I'm just saying that when you lose the nuance, it's everything gets amplified. A simple text can be read as a huge insult just because the other person is in a bad mood. It's like we're communicating in a vacuum where the most basic cues are gone. Do you think we'll ever find a way to bring that human touch back into digital chats?
I think different generation use it differently.
Oh, definitely. For the older crowd, it's often seen as a total lack of respect, almost like a challenge to their authority. But for Gen Z or Alpha, it's more of a vibe, a way to signal that they're just not emotionally invested in the drama. It's like the word is shifted from being a rebellion to being a preference. Do you think the age gap makes it harder for people to actually understand each other when they use it?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, it's a classic case of miscommunication. Imagine a teen saying it to a parent who grew up in a time where that was a huge sign of disrespect. The parent hears a shout, but the teen just thinks they're being chill. It's like they're speaking two different languages using the same word. Do you think that gap is getting wider, or are we just getting used to it?
Yeah, culture different. Is the concept universal?
That's the $1 million question. I think the feeling behind it is universal, that need to shut something down or protect yourself, but how it's actually expressed varies a ton. In some cultures, being that overtly dismissive would be almost unthinkable, while in others, it's just part of the social dance. I wonder if some languages even have a direct equivalent, or if they use a completely different sound to hit that same note.
Yeah, the power of letting go can whatever sometime reflect wisdom.
That's a deep way to look at it. It's like the difference between being dismissive and being detached. When you use whatever as a way to stop fighting over something that doesn't actually matter, that's not being rude, that's just knowing where to spend your energy. Basically, a verbal shrug that says, "This isn't worth my peace." Do you think most people can tell the difference between someone who's being wise and someone who's just being lazy?
Hmm, yes,
I think so. It's usually in the energy. Wisdom feels like a release, while laziness feels like a wall. One lets the air out of the room, the other just sucks the air out. Do you think you've ever used whatever as a way to actually save a relationship from a pointless argument?
yeah,
It's a real lifesaver sometimes. Knowing when to just drop the rope and stop pulling is probably the smartest move you can make in a fight. It turns the whole thing from a battle of wills into just nothing. Do you think that's a hard habit to build, or does it come naturally to some people?
I think it depends on person.
Fair enough. It's definitely a personality thing. Some people are just wired to need the last word, while others are happy to just let it all slide. I
Yeah,
guess it comes down to who has the higher tolerance for being wrong in the eyes of the other person.
yes.
It's a bit
Uh,
of a ego game. It is. The second you stop caring who wins the argument, the whole dynamic changes. It's like you've just stepped out of the ring while the other person is still punching the air. Do you think that's why it's so frustrating for the person on the receiving end?
yes,
Because they're still locked in the fight and you just basically deleted the game? It's the ultimate power move because it leaves them with nowhere to go. Do you think it's actually possible to be too detached where you just stop caring about anything at all?
yeah. I think it's possible.
That's the danger zone. When you stop caring about the small things to save your peace, it's a win. But if that starts applying to the big things, you're not just protecting your energy, you're basically checking out of your own life. It's a thin line between being zen and just being numb. Do you think people usually realize they've crossed that line, or do they just wake up one day and wonder why
Yes.
nothing feels important?
What happen if someone say it is too often? The danger of overusing it.
If you lean on it too much, you basically become a ghost in your own conversations. When everything is whatever, nothing actually matters. You stop being a participant and just become a spectator. People eventually stop trying to connect with you because they know they're just going to hit a wall every time. Do you think that's where it leads to a kind of emotional isolation?
Yeah, communication lesson. What we can learn from this word.
No, I think the biggest lesson is that the words we use are just the tip of the iceberg. It shows that the real conversation is actually happening in the subtext, the tone, the energy, and the intention. It teaches us that you can have all the right words in the world, but if the delivery is off, you know, the message is totally different. Plus, it's a reminder to be careful with our shortcuts. Efficiency is great for getting things done, but it's kind of a killer for building actual connection. Do you think we're losing that ability to be nuanced in the way we talk to each other?
Yes, human nature. Why are humans drawn to expression like this?
Because we're basically wired to avoid pain. And emotional conflict is a form of pain. Using a word like whatever is a quick way to escape the heat of the moment. It's an instinctual move, shortcut the stress, avoid the vulnerability, and get back to a place of safety. We love these expressions because they give us a sense of control when we actually feel completely out of it. Does that sound like human nature to you, or do you think it's something we've just picked up over time?
Yeah, the future of whatever. Do you think people will continue using it or not?
I think it'll stick around. As long as people are annoyed, tired, or just trying to play it cool, we're going to need a way to end a conversation without having to explain why. It's too useful. But I bet the actual word will change. We might find a new sound or a different phrase that does the same job, but the feeling behind it, that desire to just shut the door, that's not going anywhere. Do you think we'll eventually find a way to express that indifference without it sounding so rude?
Why does some people say whatever even when they actually cares?
That's the classic mask. It's usually a fear of looking too invested. If you admit you care, you've given the other person a map of your weaknesses, and for some people, that's way too scary. So they use whatever as a decoy to keep their pride intact. Do you
Can,
think that's more about a lack of trust or just a general fear of being vulnerable?
okay. Can
It's a
whatever
tough spot to,
be defensive mechanism?
it definitely can be. It's like a mental armor. If you can convince the world that nothing gets to you, you feel untouchable. But the problem with armor is that it doesn't just keep the bad stuff out, it keeps you locked in too. Do you think most people realize they're doing it, or is it just a reflex they've developed to get through the day?
I think they reflex.
Right. It's a reflex. It's just a snap reaction when the pressure gets too high. And when you think about it, you just drop the word and hope it creates some space. I wonder if you
Yes,
think that's why it's so hard to stop doing it once it becomes a habit.
yes. Does using whatever help people to avoid conflict?
It's the ultimate escape hatch. Lets you sidestep a collision that could have been a total wreck. The thing is, avoiding a conflict now usually just means you're postponing it for later or letting it simmer under the surface. Do you think it's better to just let things slide with the whatever or to push through the discomfort and actually settle it?
Yes. Can this word sometime hide sadness or disappointment?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the loudest ways to be quiet. When someone is truly crushed or let down, sometimes the truth is just too heavy to say out loud. So they use whatever to cover the crack in their voice. It's a way of saying this hurts without having to risk the other person not caring that it hurts.
Yes.
Does that feel like a more human side of the word to you?
Yes. Why do people often use it after using an argument?
Because it's like the white flag of surrender, but with a little bit of attitude. It's that moment where you realize you're not going to win or you're just too exhausted to keep going. So you drop a whatever to end it on your own terms.
Okay.
It's a way of
What
exiting the fight
emotion?
without having to.
Yes, you're saying?
I was just saying that it's a way to end the argument while still keeping a bit of your pride. It's like you're not losing the fight, you're just deciding that the fight is no longer worth your time. Do you think that's a way of saving face or just a way to avoid admitting you're wrong?
What emotion are most commonly hidden behind whatever?
I'd say it's a whole cocktail of things. Usually it's frustration, sadness, or even just a deep sense of being misunderstood. It's the perfect word for when you have a million things you want to scream, but you've realized that saying them won't actually change anything. So you just pack it all up into one word and throw it away.
Okay,
Which one of those do you think is the most common?
can saying
Can sing?
whatever reduce stress?
Wait, you mean using it as a way to release tension? Like just letting a whatever fly to signal that you're dropping the stress and
Yeah,
not letting it get to you.
I'm saying that
If that's the
if
case,
someone use whatever word, they can reduce their stress.
I see what you mean. In a weird way, it's like a pressure release valve. By just deciding that something doesn't matter, you're instantly cutting the cord to the stress. It's basically an act of mental surrender that lets you walk away from the chaos. Do you think that's a healthy way to handle it, or does
Yeah.
the stress just hide and wait for later?
I think people reduce their stress.
I get that. In the moment, it definitely feels like a weight's been lifted. It's like
Ye-
you've just opted out of a game you were losing. So the immediate relief is real. But I've always wondered, do you think that relief lasts, or does the stuff you whatever the way
Yeah,
eventually come back to haunt you? I
yeah.
think it's like a loan you take out against your peace.
In Today we have learned that wood was much more than building material. It helped us humans survive, innovating, travel, trade, and create civilization. थैंक यू सैसिमाई फॉर ब्यूटीफुल डिसीजन। दोस्तों अगर आपको वुड के बैकबोन ऑफ अर्ली सिविलाइजेशन पसंद आया हो तो वीडियो को लाइक करें, शेयर करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिए। कमेंट में बताएं कि हिस्टोरिकल टॉपिक पर अगला ए सेशन देखना चाहते हैं। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, जब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़। ग्रेट सिविलाइजेशन are often built for some simple resource used with creativity, wisdom, and purpose.